This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How are you doing right here on a beautiful Monday, February 26th? This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. We appreciate everybody who has subscribed, rated, and reviewed the show on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and on Spotify. You're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter at Joe Gaither6 and at BamaCentral on your YouTube channel. We are a proud part of the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network, along with our friends Blue Collar Unplugged. So we appreciate you checking out Blue Collar Unplugged as well. Blake Byler, Matthew Gibson, and Jacob Pickle bringing you all things Alabama basketball. And they're going to have a huge week as College Game Day is coming to town for the first time in Alabama basketball history. You're going to have a College Game Day right here in Coleman Coliseum. So what are we going to get into today? You're going to subscribe to Blue Collar Unplugged because those guys are going to have a huge week. I've got several different topics on my brain today, but I'm really unhappy. I'm not very pleased. Everything that's, great weekend for Alabama softball, great weekend for Alabama baseball, good weekend for Alabama women's basketball, just a horrific, horrible weekend for Alabama men's basketball, going to Kentucky, losing 117-95, and that's really where I want to get into because I've got a lot of conversations surrounding the game and coming out of the game that really we all need to get into. First things first is the big picture. The biggest picture is still the same for Alabama basketball. This team is fine. This team is good. This team is one of NATO's best coaching jobs, and you still have everything to play for. Yeah, it is true. You're right there, still in contention for the SEC regular season championship. You're going to have a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament, and you're probably going to have a really high seed in the NCAA tournament. Our friend Joe Lunardi right now still has Alabama as a number 3 seed headed to Memphis and taking on High Point. So look, a 3 seed in contention for the SEC championship, in contention for the SEC tournament title in Nashville. Everything's all good, right? Right. Okay, on one hand, the objective side of me says, yes, everything's still fine. This team is still rocking and rolling, still growing. Saturday is just, a blip on the radar. But, you scored 95 points. You shot, 35% from beyond the 3-point line. You won the rebounding battle up in Kentucky. You beat Kentucky on the boards 28-26. This team has arguably overachieved. So from the big picture, sitting here tied for first in the SEC, you're like a half game behind Tennessee here based on losing in Knoxville. Not 12, but 8 months away, 8 months removed, 9 months removed from losing Brandon Miller and Noah Clowney, and losing Javon Quinterly and Charles Bediako, and losing Namari Burnett, everybody going in different ways, and losing Brian Hodgson and Charlie Henry and Antoine Pett. So, big picture, the team is still fine. The program's still in a really good spot. They're in a great spot, honestly, considering everything that they lost. But I am really concerned. I'm really upset. I'm really frustrated in a micro perspective. In a micro perspective for the 2024 season. Obviously, the context that we just gave you, all the new parts and everything that you've gone through. You've watched this basketball team. Go and really have a strong season. Have a strong season so far. Let me pull my pages up. Alabama Crimson, perfect, right there. 19-8 so far on the year. 11-3 in the SEC. You've got a huge weekend ahead. Everybody knows you're going to Ole Miss, and then you've got Tennessee coming to town. But really, I'm frustrated. I'm really frustrated. You look at the rebounding battle. Let's go right there. You've seen a little bit of narratives of, Alabama still shot very well, still scored 95 points. Alabama wasn't beaten on the boards. Alabama won the rebounding battle 28-25 or 28-26. But it's kind of easy to win the rebounding battle when the other team is not missing. When the other team is shooting 63% from the floor. They were 13 of 24 from beyond the arc, 54% from beyond the arc. Was it just good Kentucky offense? You've seen a lot of narratives after Saturday. You're just not going to win when an offense scores when an offense shoots at that high a rate, when an offense shoots that well from beyond the arc, 13 3-pointers. I mean, you've seen Alabama get into the double digits from beyond the arc this season, and they've put some teams behind the eight ball. They've put some teams away. They've blown some teams out. But goodness gracious, was it just Kentucky's good offense, or was it Alabama's bad defense? All right, before we go into all this, let's kind of set up the weekend. Let's go into some of the things that Coach Nado's talked about before the game. Nado's set up the game by essentially outlining the fact that Kentucky's guards, Kentucky's talent is probably the best talent in the SEC. I know Tennessee's up there and Alabama and Auburn, right up there. But Kentucky, pound for pound wise, player for player wise, talent wise, is likely the most talented team in the SEC. Coach basically said this was a great opportunity to prove yourself against NBA scouts. I mean, you're playing against You're playing against Antonio Reeves, Justin Edwards, Rob Dillingham. You're playing against lots of guys who are going to be on NBA rosters. So this was Coach Oates, and really frustrating to see everything that Coach Oates set up for the game. Oh, we got to play better defense. Oh, this is a great chance to prove ourselves. You got to take care of the turnover battle, and then come out on Saturday and have absolutely none of it come to fruition. This was Coach Oates on Friday before the game, talking about how great of an opportunity it would have been for Aaron Estrada and Mark Sears to prove themselves.
Yeah, Kentucky's backcourt's one of the most talented in the country. I mean, you look. I mean, they've got Reeves, who's been there, as a veteran. He's one of the top 3 scorers, top 3 or 4 scorers. I mean, him and Sears are both in the top. What's he, third? Yeah. So we got 2 of the top 3 scorers in the league, and Sears and him in this game. I mean, he's shooting. He's one of the best shooters in the SEC, shooting a high percentage from 3. He can get downhill. He can shoot mid-range. I mean, Reeves is good. Wagner's very good. They start him. He's a great passer and get downhill in the paint. They bring Dillingham off the bench, who right now I think is supposed to be the top rated as far as the draft, like mock drafts go. He's the top rated American guard in the draft. So, and they bring him off the bench. So that tells you how talented their backcourt is. So arguably the best guard prospect in the country for the draft this next year comes off their bench, and he can score it at a ridiculously high level. He shoots it, gets in the paint, does a lot. Reed Shepard's projected lottery pick. He's 6th in the country in steal rate. He doesn't miss many open shots. They're super talented. Our guards that are wanting to prove they belong at the next level got a great opportunity in this game to guard guys that are on draft boards and prove they can play defense against future pros, because Kentucky has future pros on this roster. So, this may be the most talented backcourt we see all year, and their front court's really good too. So there's a lot of talent on this Kentucky team. We've got some older guys. Obviously, Reeves is older, but, a lot of the rest of their backcourt's a lot younger. So, our experienced guys are going to have to play well against some young, talented kids.
And they absolutely didn't. They did not play well against some young, talented kids. Aaron Estrada and Mark Sears on-ball defending has been a problem all season long. And it was once again a problem up there in Lexington. Antonio Reeves, 24 points on 7 of 10 shooting. Justin Edwards, 28 points on 10 of 10 shooting. Rob Dillingham, 16 points on 5 of 9 shooting. I mean, you're not making these guys take a whole lot of shots. I mean, these are very efficient numbers. And you can say, oh, these are really talented players. And obviously they are, as Coach Nado's just outlined, their NBA draft potential. And of course, it's Kentucky. You know that you're going to get, you're going to get ballers. You're going to get, real next level players. But the on-ball defending was just horrible. I mean, look, Rylan Griffin cannot guard everyone. Rylan Griffin is easily your best on-ball defender. And look, we've had this conversation before about missing Charles Bediako. And look, that kind of plays into the very beginning of the conversation about the macro level. The program is still fine. The program is still really doing well. Number 3 overall seed, in contention for another double SEC championship. You've got the number 1 offense in the country. But the defense is just atrocious. It's just unbelievably bad. You got Aaron Estrada getting beat on blow-bys all the time, and Mark Sears getting caught up on screens as well. Like, I'm not sure I'm not sure what the main issue is, whether it's a want-to issue, whether it's a buy-in issue, whether it's an understanding issue, or just simply a physical capability issue. And every little bit of it is a problem for this Alabama basketball team. Not necessarily this week when you play at Ole Miss. You should take care of Ole Miss. You're more talented than Ole Miss. You've seen Alabama basketball beat lots of teams this year that they're more talented than. Like we said, 19 wins on the season. But you look at all 8 losses. All 8 losses this year have come against top 35 ranked KenPom offenses. Number 2, number 6, number 8, number 12, number 15, 18, 21, and 34 for Ohio State. Kentucky was sitting there like, where was Kentucky? I just did this. Kentucky is sitting there with number 8. That's the 8th best offense in the country after putting up 117 points at home. So they weren't they're not a bad offense, but goodness gracious, people talk about the 95 points that Alabama scored and, that should be enough to win the game. And, you shot, 35% from beyond the arc. And you had, good little offensive games from several of the guys, but I don't really even care. I don't care that you put up 95 points. I don't care that you shot from beyond the arc. You shot 35%. You shot 6 of 17. That's another small issue. Your last couple of games, where has the 3-point percentage frequency? 6 of 17. That's a really good percentage. But that's a far cry from the 45, 43, 43-point shots you've gotten up in several basketball games this year. What's going on? What is going on? Okay, you can say it's as simple as no Latrell Wrightsell. You missed him the last 2 games. You missed him against Florida. You missed him against Kentucky. Latrell has been one of your better 3-point shooters on the team. Coach Oates has talked about him being the best shooter that he's ever coached. He doesn't turn the ball over as much, and he's probably your second best on-ball defender. You missed him on Saturday. You missed him on Wednesday against Florida as well. You survived the Florida offense. Both of their starting guards got over 20 points as well. You look at the starting guards for Kentucky. We just hit it. Justin Edwards, 28 points, did not miss a single shot. His only miss on the day came from the free throw line. You're not from the Alabama perspective, you're not forcing these guys into deep in the shot clock situations. You're not forcing these guys, out of what they want to do offensively. When Alabama's gone up against better guards in the country this year, you've really, really struggled. It's a whole lot of fun to have the number 1 offense in the nation. 1.27 points per possession, 127 points per 100 possessions. It is the number 1 offense in the country, and it is a historically good offense. Yeah, but the defense is so bleeping bad that you have the number 1 offense in the country and 95 points still doesn't get it done in Rupp Arena. Because, is it an effort issue? Maybe. Is it an understanding of switches issue? A little bit. I think, honestly, at this point, I've almost chalked it up to a physical deficiency issue. Is Aaron Estrada just not quick enough laterally to stay in front of guards? Is Mark Sears just not strong enough to fight through screens and not stay in front of opposing guards? So what you're getting happen, what you're seeing happen this past week against Kentucky, you saw the guards really dominate, and then what happened in the second half? You saw Zvonimir Ivasic, 18 points, 7 from 11 shooting. So he's not taking a whole lot of shots either. Yes, Kentucky was shooting super efficiently, but you're leaving them with a ton of open looks. Ivasic with 5 boards and four blocks as well. Really, how does he get so open? How do you get so many breakdowns? What happens is you can't stay in front of the guards. Rotation happens, and boom, you've got a postman who's wide open for a dunk or wide open for an easier look. Look, I don't want to get on to Aaron Estrada and Mark Sears too much because they have had great seasons. Without them, this Alabama basketball team is on the bubble. It's really. And Aaron Estrada was a great get out of the transfer portal. But you look at through the last couple of games. You look through the last couple of games that they've lost. I mean, look, you can say burn the tape, and you've seen that on Twitter. Oh, it's just one loss. You go to Kentucky, you go to Rupp Arena, burn the tape. Oh, of course, they were a motivated Kentucky coming off a loss against LSU. Oh, Alabama ran into a buzzsaw. Just forget about it and move on. No, I mean, look, is that the most objective answer? Yes, to burn the tape and move on. But here's the thing. You got a problem here from an Alabama perspective. You've got 3 big road losses in the league at Tennessee, at Auburn, and at Kentucky. You still can win the league, so the sky's not falling, but there are similar characteristics in all 3 games that might end up dooming your hopes at a long run in March. All right, let's look. All right, the turnovers again, the offensive turnovers, creating, just creating easy offense. 22 turnovers against Tennessee, 7 for Mark Sears, 6 for Ryland Griffin, 2 for Aaron Estrada. The 22 turnovers went to 23 points. In the Auburn game, down there at Auburn, you think, oh, well, it's just Neville Arena. It's just a crazy crowd. It's tough to win there. It's hard. I understand. You heard these narratives after the Tennessee game. Oh, it's a tough whistle. They were really physical, and they were really physical. Oh, Alabama is not going to play a team that's that physical probably again, and this, that, and the other. Okay, you're hearing these excuses. Oh, you go down to Neville Arena. It's really tough to win there. Not many teams go there and win, and it's a different energy. And yeah, Auburn poured it on. They had 15. Alabama had 15 turnovers against the Auburn Tigers, 3 for Mark Sears, 3 for Ryland Griffin, and 3 for Aaron Estrada. He had 22 points off of those turnovers. Kentucky this weekend, 16 turnovers, 9 in the first half, 6 for Mark Sears and 5 for Aaron Estrada. Look, Mark Sears, we've talked about it on the program before. Why is he not getting national recognition as, player of the year, as Cousy Award, this, that? It's because and last week I basically said it's because he doesn't look like an avatar for an NBA player. He doesn't look like a 2K Sports, video game player. And I still think that that's part of it. But in your 3 biggest road games of the year, look, I don't really care about the Purdue game up in Canada or the Arizona game over in Phoenix. And I don't even really care about the Creighton game over in Nebraska. 3 non-conference games in the middle of December in succession while your team is still finding itself. I don't really even care about that. But your 3 biggest road games of the year at Kentucky, at Tennessee, and at Auburn, your boy Mark Sears, 3 games, that's 16 turnovers. 16 turnovers himself. Now, is he scoring? Well, yes, he is. But here's the deal. You get these 16 turnovers against Kentucky. It turns into 29 points, and boom, you lost by what, 22? You lost by 22. Boom, you eliminate the turnovers, and you're right there in the game. So while there is a huge defensive issue, there is. You're not giving yourself a chance. You're not giving yourself a chance to get into the half-court defense, and to get stops. You're not giving yourself a chance to get late into the shot clock. You're sending your defense into rotation. One, you got fast break points and turnover points, but then you get down into the half-court set, and you can't stay in front of anybody. It just becomes a huge problem. Now, what's Nate Oates say after the game? Nate Oates says, oh, secret's out. We don't play any defense. So here's Nate talking after the game, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about these comments real quick.
Kentucky was ready to play tonight. We weren't. Cal had his guys ready to go. I didn't. They looked great. We looked awful. Our defensive intensity was not that. I told our guys after the game, we've had question marks about our defense all year. Those question marks are completely erased. Everybody knows that we don't really guard at this point because I thought our effort stunk. Part of the issue was we turned it over. They scored 29 points off our 16 turnovers, so you can't turn the ball over that much. Our starting backcourt had too many turnovers. We need to do a better job attacking them, taking care of the ball. But, we had us for giving up 16 points in transition, not including the points off turnovers. So you take the 29 points off turnovers, 16 other points in transition, all of a sudden you're at 45 points before you even give your half-court defense a chance to get a stop. And then once they got on the half-court, I didn't think we were that great in the area either. So, and Kentucky shot the ball pretty well. They were the team that's supposed to be able to shoot, and they shot it twice because we did. They gave up 54% from three. We gave up 63% from the field, and any kind of decent defense was played in the last 8 minutes when I thought the game was already over, when I'm guessing Kentucky probably was coasting to the end. So there's not a whole lot of positives about this. The only positive thing is we played well enough on offense through the course of the year to be tied for first place after that horrendous effort. So we got four games left, and we got to try to figure out how to get these guys a little more motivated to play harder on defense.
Coach Oates, look, all right, I'm about to go a little different direction because Coach Oates, look, if you watch this program or if you know me at any length of time, you know Coach Oates is arguably my favorite coach on campus. Why? Because he tells it like it is. He gives you pretty much just any answer straightforward. But I got a little bit of a problem at this point. Watching this team getting, maybe my hopes a little too high. Coach says, we got to figure out a way to get these guys to play a little bit harder on defense. Look, go through the Alabama roster with me. And tell me who the immature players are. There's really not, outside of true freshmen, and this isn't really it's not really a knock. It's more physical than mental with Sam Walters and Jaron Stevenson. Jaron should still be in high school. Those two guys still look like freshmen, and so they're a little bit outside of this discussion. But you look through the Alabama roster: Mark Sear, senior; Grant Nelson, senior; Ryland Griffin, sophomore, 2 years in the program, extensive experience. Muhammad Diabate, he's a freshman. Okay. Wagi, transfer, junior transfer. Latrell Wrightsell, senior transfer. Nick Pringle, senior, been in the program, and you just keep going. Aaron Estrada is a graduate transfer. So these guys are experienced in college basketball. These guys have played seasons before. You have played in tough road environments before. I don't understand, Coach. You talk about we need to get the guys to play harder. We need to get the guys to play better defense. You're sitting here February 26th. The season has what, like 3 weeks left, 2 weeks left until the SEC tournament, and you're still trying to figure out what the right buttons to push to get the maximum effort out of these guys. That's concerning. Look, I understand Grant Nelson came from North Dakota State, and Aaron Estrada from Hofstra, and Latrell Wrightsell from out there on the West Coast. These guys don't maybe understand the Tennessee or the Auburn or kind of even what Tennessee and what Auburn, those rivalries mean. Coach, it's your job to get them ready to know every time you go to Knoxville, you're going to have a tough whistle. And you're going to get you see him 2 months ago. You go up to Knoxville, you get the tough whistle that we all knew was coming, but the team didn't look prepared. The team didn't look prepared to play offensively, turn the basketball over 22 times, and just allowing Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee beat the brakes off you, and it really wasn't even competitive. So you weren't ready to go to Knoxville. Okay, maybe you talk about the guys knew what the deal is with Auburn after the Auburn home game here in Coleman Coliseum. 2 weeks later, you go down to Neville Arena. You know what the intensity of the game is going to be at that point. But you go into Neville Arena and the last 3 minutes of the first half, you end up on a huge run and you go down at halftime 14. You never get yourself out of the hole in the second half and you lose by almost 20. Coach, I get it. Playing at Auburn is very difficult. Playing at Tennessee is very difficult. On top of the environment, the teams are very good. It's a two-folded challenge. Same thing with Kentucky. I understand going to Kentucky, Rupp Arena, a huge sold-out crowd, Saturday home game, especially the way the Kentucky season has been going. It's been kind of up and down, but the past 2 weeks have been more up than down outside of the LSU loss. So they're feeling themselves. But Coach, this is the king of the conference. It's the king of the conference for our entire lifetimes. You cannot get your team prepared to play the kings of the conference. Look, I know they haven't won an SEC championship since Coach Oates has been in the conference, but you can't get the guys to go play hard at Rupp Arena, to play good defense. I mean, it started off okay. It was a track meet. It was up and down the floor, but then it kept going. Like the waterfall, the trickle effect of here's a little bad defense that gives Kentucky a head. Here's a little more bad defense. Oh, mix in a turnover or two as well. It was look. Maybe I'm being unrealistic, and that absolutely is something I have to check myself of many, many times. But you've got to get yourself ready to play against some of the premier teams in the conference. Now, I know Alabama wins the home game against Auburn, 2-3 weeks ago in Coleman Coliseum. And they're going to get a chance to avenge themselves with Tennessee this weekend in College Game Day. Do I expect Alabama to be up for Saturday's game? Yes. It's a home game. They've been lit. They've been high energy in Coleman pretty much the entire season. I'm just a little bit look, I love Coach Oates. I love the analytical approach. I love we're going to beat you with smarter play. We're going to beat you with math, with numbers. We're going to play good defense that leads into good offense. You've had a really good offense here at the Capstone, outside of the first year, pretty much the last 4 years. But you've had 2 years where the defense has been just abysmal, but to put it nicely. Now, this year's team, the 2023-24 team, is a whole lot better on offense than the J.D. Davis and Jaden Shackelford year, where everybody was fighting to play point guard with Javon Quinterly, and you didn't have a you had no defensive identity there as well. Ultimately, you ended up being one and done in the SEC tournament and one and done in the NCAA tournament. I don't want to be one and done. I don't want to see this team be one and done in the NCAA tournament. Now, they shouldn't be. They absolutely shouldn't be. But if you put on a defensive effort like you did against Kentucky, and you say the opponent, whoever the NCAA tournament opponent is, has any semblance of offensive talent, you're going to be in for a long day. You're going to be in for a hard time in the NCAA tournament if you're not going to bring any sort of defensive intensity. You fall from the low 70s to right at 97 in defensive efficiency after this performance. Now, is Kentucky super talented? Absolutely, they are. But it gives a lot of concern for what this Alabama basketball team can do in the postseason as you start to see some of the similarities in the losses. Now, does it mean the program is falling apart? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Again, the very beginning of the program, macro level, the program is doing really well. The health of this program is really high. It's been on a 5-year trajectory that has continued to grow consistently. But for this season, the micro level, this season, you have 3 really concerning road losses that tell me when Alabama is maybe in the NCAA tournament or in the SEC tournament. Let's just look. Joe Lunardi still has them as a number 3 overall seed. We told you earlier that Alabama's 8 losses all come from top 35 KenPom ranked offenses. Number 2, Kentucky. Number 6 is Arizona. Number 2 is Purdue. Excuse me. Number 2, Purdue. Number 6, Arizona. Number 8 is Kentucky. Let's see who the rest of them. Who's 12? 12 is Creighton. Yeah. So you're sitting Auburn at 15, Clemson at 18, Tennessee at 21, and let's see, we beat Alabama, beat Indiana State, and then Ohio State at 34 has the 34th best offense in the country. All right, so basically all your losses have come against good offenses. Because Alabama hasn't been playing a lick of defense, despite the fact that Alabama's 1.276. Oh my gosh, the best offense in the country by a full point. By a full point per 100 possessions over Purdue. But the defense is so bad, allowing 102.5 points per 100 possessions. That's terrible. That is disgusting. Horrific. So, okay, you think about this, and then you just put it in the context of the entire ranking of KenPom. You've lost to number 2 in KenPom, number 4 in KenPom, number 5, number 6. You've lost to continue on down. Creighton is 12. Kentucky is 17. And you continue on down. Clemson is 24. And I think I've got one more. Where is our Ohio State? Ohio State's in the 50s. Aren't they in the 40s? Control F. Ohio State is 62. So basically everybody outside of Ohio State that you've lost to is in the top 30 in KenPom. So you're thinking, okay, net top 30. Your top 30 teams are going to give you a little bit of trouble. You're probably going to be beating your first round opponents and maybe your second round opponents. But let's just look at Joe Lunardi's bracketology. Is Joe Lunardi the end-all be-all? No, but he's pretty daggum accurate. Still has Alabama as a number 3 seed going to Memphis to take on High Point in the first round, 3 versus 14. And all you guys are sitting there thinking, oh, easy win, Alabama, write them into the round of 32. And while that should be the case, you look at High Point, where are they in old Kenny Palm's system? 113. All right, that should be an easy win, well outside of the 64 mark for Ohio State. All right, but look at High Point. They're the 31st best offense in the country. Right back into the range of the teams that you fell to, the teams that you've lost to. Will Alabama put up 88 points but give up 92 to High Point? And then what are you saying? Oh, well, at least you scored 88 points on a neutral floor up there in Memphis. Great. Like, I love the offense. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to cheer, to get up and down the floor. I mean, the whole point is to get a dunk. The whole point is to get a fast break dunk. Everybody's too focused on the three-point shot. But the whole point is to get a defensive stop. A defensive stop first propels you into the offensive fast break. The offensive fast break, which turns into scoring quicker than they can get shots up. But it all starts on the defensive end. If you're not getting stops, look at Kentucky this past weekend. Kentucky had how many possessions in the game? Kentucky had 76 possessions in the game. They scored on 51 of your 76 possessions in the game. What's that for? Let's do a little quick math. 51 out of 76 gives you 67%. That's over 2/3 of the time. Over 2/3 of the possessions, they made a bucket. Now, granted, again, Coach Oates told you, one of the most talented offensive teams in the country, and they are that. But you kind of add in the ingredient of Alabama's absolutely piss-poor defense. Well, let's just brainstorm. Has Kentucky scored over 100 points? How many times have they scored over 100 points this year? As we pull up the Kentucky Wildcats, they went over 100 against Stonehill. They went over 100 against Marshall. All right, so that's twice. Marshall actually currently their season high at 118. They went 105 against the Georgia Bulldogs. They went 92. They went 109 against the Vanderbilt Commodores, and then 117 against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Do you want to be put in the same category as Georgia, as Vanderbilt? Do you want to be put in the same category as Marshall and Stonehill? No, these are not basketball programs you want to be associated with. You give them 100 points? I mean, is Kentucky good? Yeah, they're really good. Really talented. That's what's put a whole lot of the Kentucky fans into a frenzy this year, wondering, Kentucky has been on the same mission as Alabama. Can we find some defensive intensity? Can we find some defensive effectiveness? And were they on Saturday? Not really, but they were, 5% more effective than Alabama? It's just concerning going forward. It's just concerning. Can Alabama still win the regular season? 100%. Yes, they can. I honestly like Alabama's chances at going 4-0. You get Latrell Reitzel back. You get the defensive, you get a second defensive stopper next to Rylan Griffin who can help you, helps not send everybody into rotation so quickly because he's staying in front of his man. So you get Reitzel back. You get Wagee back from suspension. Did you miss Wagee? Not really. There wasn't much he was going to do in the game. But you get him back from suspension. You get Reitzel back from his head injury. And ideally, you cut down your turnovers. You go to Ole Miss, you're probably going to win. Ole Miss is not talented enough to stay on the floor with you. They're just simply not. Let's see what the Ole Miss numbers look like. Ole Miss, hotty toddy. I bet you they're in Mississippi. MISSI. Or they're not on anything. Yeah, they're just Mississippi under Ken Palm. Thank you. That's so nice. So helpful. Mississippi. Ole Miss is 74 in Ken Palm, rocking the 40th best offense in the country and the 132nd best defense in the country. So how do you think that's going to play out with the Tide? Alabama's going to score probably 120 points, and everybody's going to feel good about themselves again. And the Tide will keep riding high. And look, there's not a reason to sit here and go doom and gloom. There's not a reason to sit here and go into depression because remember, the macro, the beginning of the conversation, the program is still doing fine. The program is still on the up and up. Everything that they've accomplished this year is probably an overachievement. I'm just concerned about this micro, the rest of this year. What's the Crimson Tide going to do when they go down to Florida? Are they going to be able to deal with the road environment and not turn the basketball over, not be careless with the basketball on the offensive end? Because that's really where it starts. Look, we can bitch about the defense all we want to, and we have, and we will continue to do so. But you don't know how the defense would have looked, how the defense would have responded had you not had 16 turnovers leading to 29 points, had you not had 16 fast break points for the Kentucky Wildcats. What's that, 45 points? 45 points for the Wildcats on Huey? Basically on your bad offense, not on your bad defense, but on the places where your offense, which is number one in the country, wasn't as good. So can Alabama go Wednesday and protect the basketball? Can they go down to Florida and protect the basketball? Will they protect home court? I mean, look, if you go 4-0, you've won the league, and everybody is happy. I know a lot of people are talking about Tennessee and Auburn winning the league at this point after Alabama's big loss. And, it's not inconceivable, because if Tennessee beats you on Saturday, you go down to Gainesville and you lose because you can't stop a guard to save your life. And they beat you. I mean, Florida had Alabama right where they wanted them, right there. You lose both those games. Yeah, you're still in the SEC top four. You're playing on Thursday, Friday. You're playing on Friday in the SEC tournament. So like you've eliminated, you got your double bye. That's great. Hopefully you win in the we're looking for things to cling to for the rest of the year. Things that I would like to cling to is an SEC regular season championship. What I would like to cling to is a Sunday appearance in the SEC tournament. What I would like to cling to is a Sweet 16 appearance in the NCAA tournament. You think back, you're going back to Joe Lunardi's bracketology. He's got Alabama in a Sweet 16 pod with High Point, with St. Mary's, and Indiana State. Alabama's already beaten Indiana State this year. But you look at those offenses as you continue to kind of cry about Alabama's defense. High Point currently 31st in offensive efficiency. St. Mary's is 49th, and Indiana State is 28th. Now, will those be the bracket matchups? It's unlikely. But you put that into a thought process of Alabama's probably going to have one good offense, maybe two good offenses. I mean, 31 and 28 are not really terrible offenses for a little pod, for a Memphis pod. Alabama's probably going to have to figure this defensive thing out if they want to get out of the second weekend. Now, what's the expectations for the rest of the team, for the program? You can't take it, in my opinion, much further past the second weekend. You get to the Sweet 16, and after that, you're pretty much, are you satisfied? Yeah. Do you want more? Of course you want more. But at that point, you basically achieved what this team's capable of. And it's going to be dependent on the draw the rest of the way. So, yeah, I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about the defensive issues. I expect Alabama to take care of Arkansas, to take care of Ole Miss pretty easily. But as far as the higher goals, the goals of winning the tournament, of winning SEC tournament, of winning the SEC regular season, and then making a good run, I'm concerned about that. I am. And I don't want to be overreaction Monday. I know it was after the Tennessee game a good bit. I was jumping off the cliff. Not so much after the Auburn loss at Auburn, but now you have a trend here. You have a trend of 3 road games against premier competition, against good offenses, where you've just gotten your doors blown off. You've got your doors blown off. You weren't competitive at halftime. You were down what? You were down 13.5 against Tennessee, 14.5 against Auburn, and you were down 16.5 against the Kentucky Wildcats. So in 20 minutes, these 3 teams basically sent you packing. I'm a little concerned for what that might mean for the deeper goals, the more extensive, the loftier goals, the more fun goals of SEC regular season titles and SEC tournament titles and deep runs in March. Is the program still fine? Absolutely, 100%. A healthy place, really, no matter what else happens the rest of the year. Do I have concerns about Nate Oates' ability to coach? No, but I do not really love hearing him say, well, we got to figure out what we need to do to get these guys to play defense. Like, hello, Aaron Estrada, your college career basically has 6 games left in it, period. I mean, you can extend it, but you have the 4 regular season games. You have 1 SEC tournament game and 1 NCAA tournament game. You have 6 games left to live. Are you going to extend that life to 8 or 12? It's up to you. Come on, Coach. Let's hit the right buttons and see what they do on Wednesday against the Ole Miss Rebels, and really, more importantly, on Saturday against the Tennessee Vols. You got to get the defensive issues fixed. Adding Latrell Wrightsell back to the lineup will help. Oh, man, but I'm just very, very concerned about this team's capability of making a deeper run in the tournament when it comes to tournament time. All right, let's talk about a couple more things today. It was a huge weekend. I just spent 40 minutes complaining about the basketball team and complaining about just poor effort. Just really frustrating effort from Saturday. What was good over the weekend? Alabama softball still undefeated. I think they're up to 15-0, right? 16-0. They won 15-0 over UAB. We had Katie Wyndham on the program on Friday, highlighting the weekend ahead that was. And, not really great competition, but nice to see the Bats get out there on Sunday. 15 runs. Heck, that's great. That's very, very good. And in addition, you're holding teams off the scoreboard, which is strong as well. Now, for the baseball team beats Valparaiso 3 games in a row and basically run rules on all 3 games. Is that right? I know they did on Friday and Saturday. Did they run rule on Sunday? They won pretty handily. Schedule, it was 11-1, wasn't it? Don't know if that ended up being. Yeah, it was 11-1, a final in 7 innings. Yeah, and what's been fun? This Alabama baseball team is what 3, 6, 7, 8 wins. 17 home runs and 8 wins, and you didn't hit a home run in your first 2 games. So basically 17 home runs in 6 games. Look, I know it's still basketball season. You're still thinking about basketball a good bit, and you're wanting to get excited about spring football. But it seems like Rob Vaughn's got himself. Look, is Valparaiso the measuring stick? No, but seems like Rob Vaughn's got some pieces out there at the Joe. Take him out there. It's a great family experience. Really fun really fun place to be. And it seems like I was out there on Friday. The team's got a lot of juice. It's a lot of fun to watch them hit the long ball and see the offensive numbers put up cricket numbers for each inning. So we will keep following the Alabama baseball team as they keep going. Do you want to talk about Cam Newton? Golly, if you guys are not following social media, that is A-okay. You can follow me at Joe Gaither 6 if you're on social media. But if you're not and you didn't see it over the weekend, Cameron Jarrell Newton, yes, the Heisman Trophy winner for the Auburn Tigers, got himself in a fight, found himself in a fight. He was in he was at some skills competition. He's at some skills competition, off-season event. And a bunch of guys, 5, 6 of them, decide they want to jump Cam Newton, I guess. And why? I don't know. He's 6'6", 260. That's not anybody I want to be fighting. That's not and Cam can give me dirty looks, and I'll give you a dirty look back. Or maybe, heck, I'd love to have you on the show and get to know you, Cam Newton. But, look, there's no reason. Know yourself. Look, I know myself at 5'10", 180. I'm not gonna hold a candle in a fight with Cam Newton. Seems like some of these guys on social media just did it for the clout and for the fact of, hey, we want to say that we fought Cam Newton. I'm not sure that that's on my bucket list. And I know he's an Auburn man, so you take the other side, but not on my bucket list to be fighting Cam Newton. Let's finish this off with a little bit of college game day action. College game day is coming to Tuscaloosa on Saturday, and we're really excited about it here at BamaCentral.com. We're going to be covering all angles of it. They're going to be in Coleman Coliseum, 9 a.m. on Saturday. The game isn't till 7. Look, Alabama's really struggled in big road environments. This is a chance, really, for the Crimson Chaos, for the Alabama faithful to really stand out and show out. It's a 7 p.m. game. Look, you might come to Coleman Coliseum early to enjoy the college game day festivities, and really, I would encourage you to do that. It's the first time in the program's history, basketball program's history, and basketball college game day, not the football version, but the basketball version has come to Coleman Coliseum. It's going to be an electric day. You're going to have your 2 SEC Player of the Year candidates going head-to-head, Mark Sears and Dalton Knecht, and really, it's a game where Alabama has to have it. You got if you want to accomplish the goals that you've set out in front of you. You want to win the SEC regular season title, you have to protect home court, and you split with Tennessee. And after that, you kind of just let the chips fall where they may. But it's going to be a lot of fun to be there on Saturday. You're going to see Jay Williams. You're going to see Seth Greenberg. You're going to see Jay Billis. You're going to see really the who's who, Reese Davis as well, really getting you ready for Alabama and Tennessee. And I wonder to myself, does the game day appearance, does the game day appearance make you more or less likely to come to Tuscaloosa early to get excited for the game? And does it make you more or less lubricated to watch the game on Saturday night? It's going to be a blast. I think it's going to be another sold out environment in Coleman Coliseum, and hopefully the crowd can do their part, be that sixth man. We'll be there right there with you at BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. The last thing for us today is from our friend Jay Billis, and it's about court storming. If you guys are living under a rock, you have seen that Kyle Flipowski was injured. Duke player was injured this past weekend when Duke lost to Wake Forest, and the Wake Forest Demon Deacon student section found themselves on the floor. And we've seen this is the second court storming incident with a high profile level player, Caitlin Clark. Iowa's Caitlin Clark. It's a little bit banged up in a court storming incident as well. And we've done this dance before when it comes to football and field storming. Look, the fans don't care about what the fans don't care about what the fine is for the university. You can say the fine is $100,000 the first time and $250 the second time and $500 the third. Like, it doesn't matter. The fans don't care. They're not paying the bill. They're good. They just want to be on the floor. They just want to be celebrating the big old win. Now, you've got several layers here. You got to get better security down on the floor. You do. You got to keep them off of the floor. You got to be more effective keeping them off the floor. That's just point blank, period. Secondly, you got to know, okay, Duke's coming to town. If we beat them, there might be a chance that court storming happens. In order to keep them off the floor, we're going to hire more security. And Billy and Martin and Steven, you three security guards are in charge of the visitors' bench. If the visitors lose, you got to get those guys out of here ASAP. You need to put your foot down from an NCAA standpoint or from a conference standpoint. Honestly, Jay Billis and Greg Burns said this as well today to the public. If a court storming incident happens, the storming team needs to lose that game. Let's say Alabama and Tennessee play this weekend. Look, there's not going to be any court stormed in Coleman Coliseum, but go along with me for a hypothetical. Let's say Alabama beats Tennessee and everybody jumps onto the floor celebrating the big win. Per Greg Burns, Alabama should ultimately end up getting a loss because they stormed the floor, because they created a dangerous situation. Do you agree that that is the right way to handle a field storming? In the football scenario, we talked about it in the fall a couple of times. I'm of the opinion that instead of giving the storming team a loss, you take away a home game in the future. Let's say Alabama and Tennessee, this weekend's game. Let's say Alabama rushes the court. The next year when Tennessee is on the schedule twice, both games are going to be in Knoxville. That's what I would do. You would lose the next year's home game against that subsequent university. Whether it's you think back to Alabama and Texas A&M from. What's that? Bryce Young, 2021, right? 21, you go out to A&M and you lose a heartbreaking game. Well, you come back to Tuscaloosa in 22 this past year where Alabama went to Texas A&M. That game would have been held in Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's my solution. You take because look, nobody's going to the universities. You saw the Tennessee chancellor. You saw the Tennessee president. 2 years ago when they stormed the field in Neyland Stadium, basically saying, "Oh, I'll pay the fine every time," as he's smoking his cigar. The money's not real to them. The money is not real to these people. And so what you do instead is say, "All right, you celebrated Tennessee by storming the field, by storming Neyland Stadium." Next 2 years that you play Alabama is going to be in Tuscaloosa. You guys got to make the road trip twice to pay your penance. For the court storming. Look, the administrations, they would fix it at that point. They would not want to lose a home game. They're the local governments, the Tuscaloosas, the Knoxvilles, the Starkvilles, the local governments that need these home games to survive, that need these home games to have the local economies. They wouldn't tolerate it. They would not tolerate losing home events, losing home venues, and I think that would be my argument. Instead of, look, the game was just played, whether it be football or basketball or whatever it is, whether the game that was just played, the home team wins in upset fashion, it's not right to punish the players, to punish the coaches for the dumb actions of their fans, for their actions of the fans coming on. Look, I like Jay Billis's idea as well. It's a logistical nightmare, but Jay Billis suggested that when the crowd storms the court, you keep them on the court, you don't let them off, and you process them one by one by either A, arresting, or B, fining them. You fine the individual over the school. You throw the individual into jail for trespassing because technically you're trespassing right there. You're not supposed to be on the court or on the field. Do I feel bad for Flipowski, and Caitlin Clark? A little, some. I mean, this can even go back to Jermaine Burton last year. Oh, Jermaine Burton, I was scared. Should he have stuck his hand out and gotten an altercation with that girl? No, but you storm the court, you storm the field. You're taking your own well-being into account. If I'm going to be, a big old fan and I'm going on the floor, and let's say I yell at Johnny Superstar from the other team. If Johnny Superstar from the other team punches me in the face, guess what? I deserved it because I came into his domain. Now, granted, it's maybe a little different when, the male-female dynamic is at stake, as was with Jermaine Burton and the female Tennessee fan, but you just are in a dangerous situation. And I think that universities and local government can do a little bit more at each. Look, when you're at risk of having a court storming, it's not going to happen here in Tuscaloosa or field storming here in Tuscaloosa. But anytime Alabama's on the road in football, you better be prepared. If our home team wins, we're going to storm the field over Alabama. May not be the case now with Nick Saban retiring, but you just get prepared for these situations. You look on the schedule, you see, top tier program on the schedule at home this weekend. Well, we maybe should hire, 5, 10, 15, 20% more security just in case we win. Believe in yourselves. Believe in yourself. But subsequently, I would forfeit the next year's home game in the event of a court storming. That would be my solution to keeping fans off the field and off the court. That's going to do it for our show today. We had a lot of fun ranting about Alabama basketball, raving about Alabama basketball. Look, I think this team is still fine. Number 3 seed on most of the experts' projections for the NCAA tournament. You're going to get a top 4 SEC seed. Yes, great. Awesome. You take that into the context of everything that happened over the offseason, and you're doing backflips. But the crazy person in me thinks, okay, well, this team has shown us what it can be by beating Auburn right here in Coleman Coliseum. This team has shown us what it can be by playing 35 good minutes against Purdue, 30 good minutes against Creighton, 30 good minutes against Arizona. This team has shown us that it can play with the top teams in the country. But it's also shown us it has serious deficiencies at the guard position when it comes to protecting the basketball and defending the basketball. And I think that those deficiencies might end up haunting Alabama when it comes to later rounds in the NCAA tournament. So that creates a little bit of disappointment and angst, frustration in my soul here because I'm a crazy person. But we love Alabama basketball, and they are still fine no matter what happens the rest of the year. We'll keep covering it right here at BamaCentral.com. On Wednesday, the Crimson Tide's going to Oxford to take on the Ole Miss Rebels. It'll be the first game between Alabama and Ole Miss this season. You'll be able to follow it right there at BamaCentral.com. We'll have all kinds of coverage. We're going to have all kinds of midweek baseball and softball coverage as well. Gymnastics won on Saturday. We didn't talk about that, but gymnastics puts up a season-high score against the Georgia Bulldogs, getting into the 198s as the season's starting to get into the business end. So great to see the ladies handling their business on Friday night in Coleman Coliseum at the Power of Pink Meat. So that's going to do it for our show today. We appreciate everybody who's watched us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter at Joe Gaither 6. You watched us on YouTube at at Bama Central as well. You can find me on all the social medias at Joe Gaither 6, and you can subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or Spotify right there at the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central and BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither 6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.